Hey, it's Jang here from UltimateRC.com and RCmania.com, the place for toy-grade RC reviews. What you're looking at here is the Hogs Heli Twister. Now, this is an interesting sort of hybrid-looking aircraft. It has some styling cues that would remind you of the V-22 Osprey, but like the title suggests, this is mostly a heli, not an airplane. It has two main fixed-pitch rotor blades. They are independently driven, and then you've got a couple of flaps under here with this semi-transparent material to make it so you don't see it very much when it's in the air. It's tough to explain in words how this thing flies, so I'll just leave the words aside and show you how it flies right after I show you the controller. So, you've got your throttle control over here on the left-hand stick, and then on the right-hand stick, well, this is not usual. You've got three different main positions front to back where it kind of gets stuck in there. You can go left to right just fine, and there's also one extra little forward position just a little higher than the upper position. It's all very unusual, but again, I'll just show you how it works. There are two trims here, one for left to right turning and one for actually left to right banking. And then there are these four buttons in the middle, and those just give you access to some pre-programmed flight maneuvers. They really aren't separate controls. No surprise for an Hogs product, you've got your charger built right into the controller. You plug in this lead directly into the aircraft, and a half hour later you're ready to fly. So here we go, the flight of the Hogs Heli Twister. It only took a little trimming to get it stable, and then... that's just not fair. That is too cool. Honestly, technically, it's a gimmick. The real functional part of the craft doesn't actually turn upside down. You can see that the rotor blades are staying oriented in the same way. It's basically that mostly empty fuselage that's just being rotated around. But it still looks great, and I know for a fact that kids will love that trick. Heck, I had several adults watching this test flight, and all of them were just cheering. This is pretty unique. You won't find many craft out there in the world, period, that can do this, much less ones that you can get for $50 and fly with minimal practice. Now, interspersed randomly throughout this flying footage, I was pushing the four different special trick function buttons in the center of the controller. Like I mentioned before, they aren't really different controls, they just kind of add some spice, some variety to what your flight looks like. But the main things that you're actually able to control are spinning, as you see here, which is just full speed turning to the left or to the right. You can also do it a little bit more slowly. You can also move forward very slowly. That's actually forward motion right there when you're in the normal orientation with the fuselage horizontal. And then of course you have your up and down controls. Now, this craft does not have a gyro system for yaw or for turning, but thankfully it doesn't seem to really need it. It's pretty stable in its left to right turning. It does tend to drift around in its turns a little bit, sometimes doing a little bit of a turn that you're not really asking for, but it's very controllable. It doesn't feel like it's getting away from you. It actually does have a gyro on the pitch axis, the tilting forward to back. And that keeps it from moving forward too fast or from moving forward or backward when you don't want it to. It also keeps those two main rotors pointing straight up and down, even when you rotate the fuselage between horizontal, vertical, and inverted positions, and even if you do that very quickly. So on the whole, it's a very stable and controllable craft. However, what I'm not showing here is my initial footage where I tried to fly it in a small room. Simply put, I tried and I failed. The Heli Twister is very, very sensitive to motion of the air, so you definitely cannot fly it outdoors if there's any breeze whatsoever. It's also infrared controlled, so it does not do well in sunlight. But the reason that I couldn't fly it in a small room is that it was making its own wind. And with two large counter-rotating main rotors, it was just too much turbulence for the thing to handle. I recommend that you fly the Heli Twister in an area that's at least 12 by 12 feet, with at least 5 or 6 feet of vertical space that's completely clear and free of obstacles. If you've got the space, I think that this is a well-designed and very enjoyable product, and the price makes it a pretty respectable value. Well, that wraps things up for this review. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you got some good information and or entertainment out of this video. If you want to see more unsponsored independent reviews of toy grade RCs, be sure to check out RCmania.com. I'll see you there.